Ever had a job that felt like a dead end? Mine was literal. I was part of a night maintenance crew, 5 of us, assigned to a routine inspection. The target was an old service tunnel beneath the forgotten Grey Falls Sector Industrial Zone. Official records were clear, 3 kilometers long, straight as an arrow, no side passages. A simple in-and-out job. We geared up and descended into the darkness just after midnight. The first thing that hit us was the air. It was heavy, stale, like it had been trapped down there for a century. Our radios crackled to life, but the sound was off. Our voices would echo back a second later, distorted, as if the tunnel itself was mocking us. We chalked it up to weird acoustics and pressed on. 10 minutes into the walk, I glanced at my distance tracker. It read 5 kilometers, 5. We'd only been walking for 10 minutes. We all had a laugh about it. Must be faulty equipment, right? New guy probably didn't calibrate it. That's when the lights behind us started to go out. Not a flicker, not a burnout. They just vanished. One by one, leaving us with a shrinking pocket of light and an endless, illuminated corridor stretching out ahead. The darkness behind us felt solid, absolute. There was no turning back. We kept walking, but the end of the tunnel never got any closer. It was like running on a treadmill. An hour passed, then 2. The sense of unease started to crawl up our spines. One of the guys, a veteran named Marcus, stopped dead. He pointed a shaky finger at the concrete wall. "These weren't here before," he whispered. I leaned in closer. Scratches. Deep, frantic gouges in the concrete, packed with what looked like dried something. They looked like claw marks. Not from an animal, but from human fingers, worn down to the bone. It was as if something, or someone, had desperately tried to claw its way out. The temperature began to rise. A damp, clawing heat that made our clothes stick to our skin. Then the sounds started playing tricks on us. Our own footsteps began to echo strangely, overlapping and multiplying. Even when we stood perfectly still, we could hear the phantom shuffle of boots on concrete. A disorienting, auditory nightmare then. A new sound cut through the noise. Footsteps, coming from the darkness ahead of us. They were steady, deliberate, and moving at our exact pace. We stopped, they stopped. We took a step, they took a step. A perfect, terrifying mimicry. A cold dread settled over our crew. We were not alone. A voice, thin and reedy, whispered out from the void in front of us. It spoke my name. Just my name, clear as day. My blood ran cold. I hadn't said my name. No one had. We'd been using nicknames and grunts for hours. How did it know? That was the breaking point for one of us. A young guy named Leo. He screamed, turned, and sprinted back the way we came, back into that oppressive, total darkness. We shouted after him, but he was gone. We listened, expecting to hear him crash into a wall at the entrance. But his footsteps just kept going, and going, fading into an impossible distance. A moment later, his radio crackled to life. It was just screaming. Hysterical, terrified screaming. He was shouting that he couldn't find the entrance, that the walls were closing in. Then his voice changed. "I'm back. I can see you guys." He was sobbing. "The tunnel, it looped me down. I'm in front of you." We stared into the darkness ahead, and sure enough, a figure stumbled out of the gloom. It was Leo. His face was chalk white, his eyes wide with a horror I'll never unsee. "I swear," he choked out. I never turned around. The tunnel seemed to enjoy our fear. The lights behind us continued to extinguish, one by one, methodically herding us forward like cattle. Time itself began to unravel. My watch read 3 a.m. Marcus's read 7:15. Leo's had stopped completely. I pulled out my phone for a glimmer of sanity. The screen glowed with a date from 10 years in the past. We were trapped in a place where the laws of physics had been repealed. The walls, they started to change. The cold, hard concrete softened. It took on a strange, organic texture, pulsing with a faint, rhythmic light. Veins snaked across the surface. The air grew thick and humid, and the tunnel felt like the throat of some colossal, slumbering creature. Breathing became a conscious effort. Each gasp a struggle against the suffocating atmosphere. Another voice echoed through the passage. This one was different. Calm, slow, and ancient. It wasn't a whisper. It was a statement. You entered. Now keep walking. That's when the others started to disappear. It wasn't violent. There were no screams, no struggles. As the lights went out behind us, one by one, they would just step into the darkness and not be there anymore. Marcus was first, then the other to Dot, then Leo, gone. I was alone. The tunnel began to constrict. The walls pressed in, the ceiling lowered until I had to crouch. The air was hot and foul. And all the while, the footsteps followed me. The phantom sound of a dozen boots marching in unison, right behind me, even when I stood frozen in terror. I don't know how long I walked, hours, days. But then I saw it. A light ahead, not the cold, fluorescent lights of the tunnel, but a sliver of natural moonlight. It was coming from under a door, a heavy, rusted metal door, plastered with warning symbols I'd never seen before, ancient and ominous. With the last of my strength, I threw myself against it. It creaked open. I stumbled out, gasping, onto cold pavement. I was at the entrance of the tunnel. The air was fresh and crisp. My watch read just after midnight. Everything was exactly as it was when we first went in. The warning sign, the gate, the stillness of the night. I looked back. The tunnel lights were on, stretching into the darkness, waiting. I didn't wait to understand. I ran. I ran until my lungs burned and I collapsed miles away from Grateful Sector. I never filed a report. Who would believe me? They listed my crew as missing, a tragic accident. I never went back. But the tunnel, I don't think it ever let me go. Sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, I hear them. Footsteps. Just behind me. Perfectly in time with my own. And a cold dread washes over me as I realize the walk never ended. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoy tales that blur the line between reality and nightmare, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You never know what's lurking in the dark. Stay safe out there.